I'm Cheryl Henderson. I'm the director of the East Tennessee Historical Society. We want to welcome tonight's very special guest to our very special program, an exhibit preview. For those of us who remember early television, this exhibit is a walk down memory lane, and for those too young to recall it, they will get a chance to view it for the first time and understand maybe why we were so excited about it. The exhibit will remain open tonight until about 9 after the program. It runs through February the 23rd, so we hope you'll return many times with your friends and family to see the exhibit again and again. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce special people who have made this exhibit and tonight possible. First, our generous sponsors. Our presenting sponsors are Joe and Cindy Emmert, who are here tonight with their son Jason. Y'all want to thank you. Joe is a member of the East Tennessee Historical Society Board of Directors, so thank you, Joe and Cindy, for your very generous support. We appreciate it a lot. Our supporting sponsors are At Home Audio Video, who generously donated audio visual equipment for this exhibit and future exhibits. Brad Midyett is here tonight representing At Home Audio Video. Brad? Of course, Clayton Foundation is a sponsor of the exhibit. I haven't seen Jim Clayton. I don't know if he's here. There he is. Jim needs no introduction. He's a television icon and a country music icon in East Tennessee in his own right. And of course, the Knox County Public Library is the presenting sponsor. The Knox County Public Library is a partner in all we do here at the History Center. It's a wonderful public-private partnership that works to the benefit of the community. I think Marita Black may be here. Marita? Marita is the library director. Mary Palm Claiborne, the director of communications. The creative forces behind this exhibit are to be thanked. Adam Alfrey is the exhibit's curator at the East Tennessee History Center. He's organized, designed, and supervised the building of this exhibit. Bradley Reeves. Bradley Reeves is the manager of the Tennessee Archive of Moving Image and Sound, known as TAMIS. Brad and his wife, Louisa Trott, started TAMIS as a nonprofit a few years ago. These two very visionary people deserve much praise and recognition for literally rescuing our film and recording history from dank basements and trash heaps and for preserving it for future generations. Their contributions to our region's history take center stage for this exhibit for the next 3 months. And we also want to welcome them. They're now an official part of the library under the auspices of the McClung Historical Collection. So thank you, Brad and Louisa, for your very generous gift to the future. Others who deserve great recognition are the ETHS Curator of Collections, Michelle McDonald, our volunteers, Martha Ralston, Denise Alfrey, Randy Alfrey, Dan McDonald, B.J. Wiseman, and Jessica Copeland. Before I turn the program over to Bradley Reeves, I want to announce 2 exciting gifts to the Museum of East Tennessee History. One of the first things you see when you go in the exhibit is the wonderful Cas Walker set. You can't miss the large backdrop painting of the old coon hunter with his dog standing under a tree full of coons. So this is the original backdrop to the Cas Walker show. It's been very generously donated to us for our museum by David West. David is a genius to collect items that will one day be iconic. He just seems to recognize them and collect them. And he also has several other pieces that will one day be in our exhibit. So we're very excited. Thank you, David. And I understand that Jim Hartsook, who most of us will remember as little Jimmy Hartsook, I will forever remember him that way, has donated some of his performance uniforms as a permanent part of our collection, and we're very grateful for that too. We are so honored to be entrusted with these things that mean so much to these people who place them here and trust us to take care of them through the ages. So thank you. And now I'm going to turn the program over to Bradley Reeves, manager of the TAMIS.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. I can't believe all these people. Remember the days when we had 3 channels? Yeah.
I remember even before that.
He always wants to get into the act. Come on, Stoney. Just for once. Okay. The comedian. We've got another comedian here. All right, I'm going to leave, and you guys take over. I'd like to say thank you all, and we've got a really rich television history in Knoxville, richer than most. It's really unbelievable. You know, everybody had their own markets, their own stations, their own celebrities, and nationally and regionally, most of that TV is gone now. It decomposed, it was recorded over. Little fragments survive here and there, and we've got a little bit of that on display tonight. Now, country music has always been really, really big here. So we've got the Kaz Walker Farm and Home Show. We've got the Bonnie Lou and Buster, Jim Walter Jubilee, Jim Hartsook. My goodness, Kaz Walker, everything. We're just so lucky, but so little of it survived. So 10 years, we've been scrounging, looking for clips, pieces of film, every little bit to kind of represent our cultural heritage. Now, I'd like to introduce a few people. Way back in October of 1953, there was a gentleman who was there when television signed on the air. Hey, Carl Lawson, are you here? Are you over there, Carl? Hey, there's Carl right there. Yeah. Hey, Carl, you just had a birthday? Next week? 91 young. 91 years young. 92. Yeah, that's a true pioneer right there. He was right there on Sharps Ridge at WTSK, Channel 26. We've got Bobo the Clown's daughter, Billy Ann. Billy Ann, are you over there somewhere? She was on TV in 1953. My goodness, Gene Brooks, are you here somewhere? Yeah, here's Knoxville's first weather girl, Gene Brooks. Yeah. Just as beautiful now as she was in 1960. Yeah, you'll see, if you stick around for the movies, you'll see clips of Gene. You know, one of my favorite people growing up was a gentleman whose real name is Jesse Carl. Is it Carl Williams? Are you around here? There you are. Hey, Carl. Be good to yourself, he used to say. Try to do that. One of my favorite recording artists for Knoxville. I couldn't believe it when he walked in the door. It was like Elvis. It wasn't Elvis, but it was the next best thing. Ronnie Speaks. Hey, babe. Yeah. All right, Ronnie. There's all kind of great people here. There's a fellow by the name of Bev Gooch who's here. He was one of the pioneers at the Ampex Corporation, which produced the early 2-inch quad videotape recorders. Hello, Bev. Thanks, we're a true pioneer. Right there. Good to see you. You had to be a smart guy back then. Well, I guess you still do. Hey, Marshall Andy, you're a TV guy. Did y'all know Marshall Andy? He's still on the air after all these years. 30 years, Riders of the Silver Screen. And he still entertains us. I love Marshall Andy. Thanks for coming. Really do. I tell you, everybody here has a great history in local television. Stony Stonecipher, 1953, WTSK. Ray Rose, who has worked the longest in television. How many years did you work? 59 years of TV. That's correct. Yeah. Danny Hutchins, Charlie Pride's piano player, keyboard guy. Yeah, Ken Bonham, who's one of the best guitar players I've ever heard. You're going to find that out real soon. And Curtis Young, one of the great singers. You're not going to believe this guy. So thank you all for coming. They're known as the Country Kings. They played for the Jim Clayton Star Time for many, many years. We've also got David West, Mr. Kaz Warner, his bass player. And one more. I got to tell you, I'm so proud that Miss Bonnie Lou Moore, Bonnie Lou and Buster, sitting right there. I can't believe it. Let's give her a big standing ovation. Woo! Bonnie Lou! Some real celebrities in the house tonight. And Lloyd Bell, her brother. Thank you, Lloyd, for coming. He's part of that for a long time. Well, I'd like to introduce another pioneer who was at television at WTSK in 1953. He's sort of going to be the MC. Hey, Joe Clayton, where are you? Joe? Oh, come on up here. You going to take over? I really appreciate y'all coming. We got some live music by the Country Kings, and we'll follow it up with about an hour video of the rarest Knoxville TV clips from the 1950s, early 60s. Here's Joe Clayton. Thank you very much.
David West is first on the list tonight. Where is David?
Kaz Walker's little brother.
David, welcome. You're on the air.
No,
You're on.
I'm going to use this one right here. They told me to get up here and talk about Kaz Walker. Does anybody remember Kaz Walker? Boy, I'm glad you do. I was getting out of the car with my banjo, and I heard a solid lady there, and she jumped up. She said, "Oh, that was the banjo picker from the Kaz Walker show." Said, "Me and my mother watched you ever since I was a little bitty girl." And I said, "Well, honey, how old are you?" She said, 95. I got out here in the lobby, just as I walk in the lobby, there was 3 or 4 people standing there talking. I heard somebody say, "That's him, it's from the Kaz Walker show." And one of them said, "Well, which one was it?" She said, "I believe he's Honey Wiles." Working with Kaz Walker, some of the younger people calls it a trip. But we did get to do a lot with Kaz Walker, and he was a great guy to work with. He was the first person to ever give me hospitalization. The second time I went with him was in 1976, and I stayed with him until he went off the air. I drove for him for about 3 years. I learned real quickly in life there was 3 ways to do things: the right way, the wrong way, and the Kaz Walker way. That was one of the first things. Mr. Walker was in a world like of his own. I mean, he was respectable and he liked everybody, but he thought what he'd done was the right way to do everything. And he would always buy a little bitty car. He would buy a Dodge Colt or some kind of an Opel station wagon, and he would put me and Red and Fred and Monroe and himself in this little car, and they'd drive. We'd go to Kentucky and Virginia, drive for days. And you know, Mr. Walker didn't do nothing like nobody else. He told you what he thought, he did what he thought, and I remember Cheryl, now, you don't like his story, Cheryl said, "Be sure and tell one hadn't been told." This has never been told before. And the way Mr. Walker would put this is too bad to tell, but too good to keep. So, you have to imagine a bunch of us hillbillies going down the interstate one night about 10 o'clock. And Mr. Walker got about to use the bathroom. I mean, it was, you know, it was an emergency. He said, "Stop the car, stop the car." And of course, we pulled over right quick, and he jumped out. Well, we knew he was going to run up in the woods or somewhere, and he just used the bathroom right there, right on the side road. And the funny part was, all these cars going by blinking their lights, and these tractor trailers, honk, honk, honk. Mr. Walker jumped back in the car, and when he did, he looked over to the driver and said, "You stopped in the nick of time." He did so many things, I know. And he would tell things that hey, he did. One day we was driving down the road and I looked over at him, and if you folks remember, his finger turned down like this right here. And I said, Mr. Walker, what happened to your finger? And he said, well, I got into a fight, and when I did, this fella bit it off. And I said, he bit it plumb off. These are true stories. I said, he bit it plumb off. He said, oh, yeah. I said, he spit it out on the ground, so I put it in my coat pocket and took it back and had it sewed on in the hospital. He said, now back in those days, you couldn't do the leaders and say that's reason it crooks down. I call it my 2 for a quarter finger. So he wanted to make use of everything he did. We got so many things we can tell. We have so many things we can tell on him. But I know that a lot of people got up early in the morning. Times has changed so much as time, 20 years, 25 years ago, it's not like it is today. Television went off at 12 o'clock at night. And it was, when it went off, you had Robert E. Harris telling the stories, moments of Jesus, and you pledged allegiance to the flag. And the next morning, they'd come on at 5:30. We'd go in there we'd have to get up at 4:30 every morning. We'd go in and look at the test patterns there at Channel 10 till the television come on and it'd bring us on. And when they did, we brought it on live, and Mr. Walker, he would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and read the newspaper. He had all the news, and a lot of people said, well, you don't have to buy the newspaper. Just watch Cass Walker. He knows everything that's happening. He told all that stuff. He got up, he went to bed at 11 o'clock at night, got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and that's the way television was. Everything's changed so much now. I don't know what would have happened if he'd been in this day and time, because it might have been hard for him to cope with it. But I'm going to move over and get my banjo over here. Ray was wanting us to do this. Some of you folks, you remember the theme song, Pick Up the Morning Paper? What we need to do, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's pick up the morning paper, and y'all sing along with it. You need to be a part of this history here. The things that Bradley and Cheryl Lynn has done, if it wasn't for people like them, the young generation would never get to see this. This is stuff that really happened. These are people up here that really played these shows. We was on the road, and when you travel with Mr. Walker, you might be going out for days, and he'd throw dogs in the car with you. You had to ride the dog. I remember one trip we was up there, and of course Mr. Walker would build us up to try to, he knew we didn't like riding the dogs. I mean, 5 people in a little sports car, a small car, with a dog in the banjos and guitars and clothes back, it wasn't very good, And he looked over, Fred looked over at me, and Mr. Walker said, now I know you boys don't like to ride with dogs, but said they saved my life. Said I was out hunting and got in the snow, and said I just crawled under them dogs. So I got stuck. So I had to get under 5 dogs to survive because they'd eat off of them. Fred Smith looked over at me and said, David, if it gets too cold on this trip, put on another dog. I think we ought to pick up the morning paper with history. Y'all listen to the words. Pick up the morning paper and hit the street. That's what the prices can't be beat. By the Blue Band Coffee and want some more. And when it comes up to do your grocery shopping, y'all holler it out. Make sure you do it. Do your grocery shopping. Say it real loud. Do your grocery shopping. Oh, y'all got it. Let me get my hand. Check, okay. If you was getting up at 5:30 in the morning, I know you heard something sound like this. Let's get the whole group up.
Coffee and you want some more. Yeah, we got to have
so much. You know, another great group in this part of the country. I remember when I was watching television, I used to watch every Saturday, you would see Porter Wagoner show, the Wilbur Brothers show, and then you would see the Bonnaroo and Buster show. And I remember even before I started picking the banjo, I looked at that and I said, I would like to pick with that show there. They had interesting people on there, like Peppy was on the steel guitar, Peppy Pugh. They had Taylor Tate on the fiddle. Remember Taylor? And L.E. White played the fiddle, a big, great songwriter. They had people like Ava Barbara, Monroe Queener, Edwin Taylor. He'd been with me since he was a young boy. I thought I'd really like to work with these people. And I met Bonnaroo over at where she lived, and I walked up. She was raking leaves one day, and I said, I'm a banjo picker. She said, I've heard of you. Come up to TV, and I went up and played a little bit, and they took me. I remember Buster says, can you travel? And I said, yes, I can travel. So he said, we're going to go somewhere over towards South Carolina or someplace. And I got in there, and I rode with him, and he never did say I was hard. He just said, come back next week, come back next week. And I was with him for 8 years. I'm not sure. I was with him for 8 years. I'm not sure they ever pardoned him. I want to tell you one quick funny story that happened. There was a fellow that worked with him named Don McCann. And of course, Don had the prettiest hair you ever saw. I mean, it was beautiful. And it was one of the first trips I went out with him. They said, we have a fellow that works with Jim and Jesse. He said he's going to play bass, and Bonnaroo played guitar, Buster played mandolin. So we go way over like Florence, South Carolina, somewhere over toward that way, play for Jim Walker Home. They had a sponsor. And we got over there, well, we worked maybe 2 or 3 shows over there, and it was, you get so tired, you run the motel, and everybody wants to go to bed because you got to get started again tomorrow morning. Well, this went on for about 3 days, and Don McCann, we didn't talk much, but he sat in the back. We rode in a big limousine. They had a 50-pound limousine, and they started in 54, so they must have got this car right after they started up in Johnson City. But anyhow, we'd been over there. Well, when we go in the motel, I'd jump in the bed, and I guess Don would get over on his bed, and the next morning he'd get up and get ready, and then he'd wake me up. Well, this went on. We'd go out, and he'd sell his 8 to 10 pictures and stuff. Well, coming back, we got, I think it was Cherokee, North Carolina, somewhere. And I went to sleep, was sitting in the back seat. And all of a sudden, I woke up, and I looked over, and he had no hair. And, I'm startled. I don't know where I'm going or where I've been. I just looked over and I said, what happened to your hair? And he always chewed tobacco and spit in a coke ball. He said, I took it off. and another, we stopped at a show, and it didn't look like it was too profitable, to sell pictures and tapes and his 45 records back in. And I remember me and Don was standing there, and he didn't have his hair on. And this little boy, and he sold his 8 by 10 pictures. Here's this guy with a lot of hair, and he's standing up all head, and he said, this little boy picked it up and said, how much your pictures? He said, 50 cents. And the boy said, well, that ain't you. we had so many, working with Bonnaroo and Buster was like working with family. I worked with them so long. And they were such a great people. And I worked at the Coliseum with them. We worked for people like Buford Busser, a lot of the real Buford Busser that was the sheriff. We got to do so many things and travel so much. And I tell you, I'm so happy to get to see her again. It was some of the greatest people I ever worked. We're going to get Ray up here, and I believe that he's going to tell them who's going to do Kathy. And speaking of Kathy, come on up here a minute, Kathy. I started on radio in about 63 or 4, I guess, somewhere early 60s.
Don't say it again.
I walked into the radio station, and
In Clinton, Tennessee.
yeah, Jim Fagan had a radio show. He stopped inside of me and discovered me, I guess. And he said, come over and be on the radio show. And when I walked in, this studio was so little, wasn't it?
He would let anybody sing.
Oh, would he? Okay. This studio was so little that they had to get behind the door so you could close it so you could start recording. It's a little bit of studio. And who did I work with my first show? Kathy Hill. Kathy Hill.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Joe, like we really are on this time.
for sale of rooms that telephone no good. I ain't got no cigarettes. The pushing through closet, hey, the 12 November. I'm a man, I'm things by no means, king of the road. That hurts me more than it does you. The coyotes are howling, the cattle are prowling, well, where the dogs fall. Spurs are jingling, the cowboys are singing, this some cattle fall. Anytime you're feeling lonely, all the time you're feeling blue, all the time feel that heart is never through. My love for you is true. Anytime you're right. All the time, that all will do. So every time you say you're only my love, that's the time I come back for you. Thank you. Join us again this week again on Star Time, every week for 17 years. And now, the star of our show will join me for a duet, Miss Kathy Hill. I'll be with you in a minute. But it's a lesson too late for the learning. They don't stay.
remember when I had the good fortune to grow up on television all through high school and my time at the University of Tennessee. I had the good fortune to be able to sing on Star Time and then the Kathy Hill Show. That was back in the days when there were 3 television stations, 3 networks, and the television stations were required to have local programming. And fortunately, people like Kaz Walker and Jim Walter and Jim and Joe Clayton were smart enough and to buy television time and have those local programs, which gave musicians like these guys back here and singers like me the opportunity to perform. It was a wonderful creative outlet for all of us. And so you've already met everybody except Ronnie Shaban back here on the drums. How did they leave him? He's so cute. But you've already met Curtis Young, and Curtis is going to sing a song. Yes, right? Well, that's what the guys told me, okay?
They're gonna put me in a movie, that's right. They're gonna put me in the movies. They're gonna make a big star out of me. We'll make the film about a man who's sad and lonely. And all I gotta do is act naturally. Well, I bet you I'm gonna be a big star. I might win an Oscar, you can't ever tell. The movies are gonna make me a big star, 'cause I can play the part so well. Well, I hope you will see me in the movies. Then I know that you will plainly see the biggest fool that ever hit the big time. And all I gotta do is act naturally. We'll make a scene about a man who's sad and lonely, begging down upon his bended knee. I'll play the part, I won't need rehearsing, 'cause all I gotta do is act naturally. Well, I bet you I'm gonna be a big star. I might win an Oscar, you can never tell. The movies are gonna make me a big star, 'cause I can play a part so well. Well, I hope you come to see me in a movie. Then I know that you will plainly see the biggest fool that ever hit the big time. And all I gotta do is act naturally. Yeah, all I gotta do is act naturally.
All right, guys, I did this song before Marie Osmond did, okay?
Stay
together.
Right?
Okay?
3, 4.
I bless the day I found you. I want to stay around you, and so I beg you, let it be me. Don't take this heaven from one. If you must cling to someone now and forever, let it be me. Each time we meet, love, I find complete love. Without your sweet love, what would I be? So never leave me lonely. Tell me you love me only, and that you'll always let it be. Now and forever, let it be me.
All right. Now you're going to meet another cute little guy that I got to know. If I wish I had $1 for every time someone has said, "Whatever happened to little Jimmy Hartsook?" Well, he's still alive and kicking. Come on, Jimmy.
Am I going to talk? First off, I want to say how thankful and grateful I am just to be a part of this, with all these people here. I want to thank the East Tennessee Historical Society. You know what? We don't know what's ahead of us, but thanks to them, we know what's behind us. They give us insight. Everyday people who made up great Regional State. And I want to say, too, that of all these guys here, Jim, Kathy, when I was a little kid and I started out singing, and you can imagine I was 10 years old. First time my mom and daddy ever let me out of their sight, they let me go to Kentucky with these people. I've got pictures to prove it. And I remember I've got a picture of me with 2 little girls, one on each arm, and I have autographed their arm. And I'm thinking, could life be any better? I mean, at 10 years old, you're running around with people, you're singing, people clap for you, they want your autograph. I mean, how could life got any better? If I could have just stayed 10 years old. Just stayed 10 years old. But I will say this, on Bonnie Lou, I need to let you know, honey, that the night y'all opened up your deal in Pigeon Forge, you had me come up and sing, and that night a man was there with his family that worked for RCA, and that's how I got my RCA recording contract. Through you and Buster. All right, the only bad thing I can say about this whole thing is, now when people ask me how old I am, I say I'm so old my clothes are in the museum. When I was young, they called me Little Jimmy. Now they call me Small James. I was born in Macon, Georgia. Hit my dad in the Macon jail. That said, son, you don't hang me. That you won't hear them hands on. But I feel moved out of the Nashville jail. And I just rolled by Georgia. Oh, and I can't feel the clubhouse on my face. I wash my hands in muddy water. Yes, I wash my hands, oh, but it wouldn't go free.
Get that banjo and get up here. Okay, what did we forgot to do something just a second ago. Come here, Curtis.
He said, hey, he's got a capo on. That's the Jim Walter thing you can't.
Buster did it, but we're going to do it at this key. One more time, Stoney. Jim Walter, you can have anything you want and more. Well, okay, feel the Jim Walter way. Okay?
Okay.
Ray was wanting me to do a little bit of. He was wanting me to do a little bit of Rocky Top. I guess we have to
And
do
you all
that.
can join in, okay?
If you don't, Rocky Top, if you're from, everybody's from Tennessee, or if you're not from Tennessee, one thing you know that we take our football serious. And there's a boy, I want to tell this one right quick. There's a boy right here from Knoxville, Tennessee, is a university student. He went down to Florida, and he became friends to a university student in Florida. And they thought they'd go on vacation. They went down to Cuba, and when they got down there, they got in trouble. Castro was going to shoot him. He backed him up before the foreign squad. He said, "Before I shoot you, does either one of you have any last requests?" And the boy from Tennessee said, "Yeah, I'm from Tennessee, and I'd like your Rocky Top once more." They told the boy from Florida, said, "Do you have any last requests?" He said, "Shoot me first." We're going to do it right here. Do it.
enjoy that? The original Star Time. Captain Will, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I appreciate all you fellas. I think there's a few seats right up front. I'd like to find one. Did you all get to see the exhibit? Yeah? What'd you think of that? That's pretty amazing. I'm glad that you could come and see it. We couldn't have done it without the help of Julian Burke. Julian, thank you so much for all the great equipment, the rare microphones, TV. He saved all of that stuff from going into the dump. And Don Burgraff, are you out there somewhere? WDBX, Don Burgraff. Yeah. All those wonderful microphones from WNOX and the Midday Merry-Go-Round saved by our own locals. They're willing to share it with us. Now, there's one fella I'd like to recognize. He's been playing music since 1950, well, before 1953 on the Midday Merry-Go-Round, WNOX. He's a great guy, television pioneer, and I just wanted to bring him up. Ray Rose? Yeah, hello. Yeah. Yeah. This is Ray. It's time to come back up. I would just like to present this on behalf of the East Tennessee Historical Society to Mr. Ray Rose for his very important and long-standing contributions to the region's history of long-running television broadcasting. You're a pioneer, a record producer, country music performer, the Midday Merry-Go-Round, and just about everything. And you've contributed so much to so many people, made a lot of people happy. And I want to thank you. I would like to present that to you. This is for Ray Rose. Lovely man. Great guy, yeah. There you go. Yeah, tell me, Ray.
I did an interview with Lori Tucker about 3 weeks ago, and she said something to me about how did it feel to be a pioneer in television. And I told her I didn't feel like a pioneer, that I just was sitting up there one day playing the guitar, and the guy come along and asked me if I wanted a job. And so I said, it's not like being a pioneer, I just happened to be sitting there. So anyway, that's the way this whole thing went. And then they asked me why I stayed at Channel 6 for 56 years. And I told her I had two stories. One was because I worked with wonderful people like her, and that I enjoyed what I did. And that the second one was a total lack of ambition.
Thank you, Ray. All right, thank you so much. Let's pretend you're watching TV in 1959 right now. We're going to go back and watch about an hour of the really cool clips from Knoxville television history. A lot of them preserved from 2-inch quad videotape. Nobody knows how to run those machines anymore, if you can find them. But we've got a fellow here, Larry Odom. Larry, are you around here somewhere?
Played the guitar.
Yeah, okay. He must be still picking back there in the lobby or something. But he preserved a lot of these Kaz Walker and Star Time and Bonnie Lou and Buster tapes. And we want to share with you a lot of great footage from Knoxville's television past. I just want to warn you that a lot of it has decomposed and deteriorated, so it's not the best quality. But it's all we have, and it's a great, great window into a different television era. Thank you so much.